Tēnā koutou katoa, ko o tākoro, ko o waho, ko puhara ki nui o mata awa, ko ihi tati moana, ko waitai haore, kinga painga o tātou e mahi nei, ko pomak mātoka ingoa, ko au te marakura o tēnā wāre, nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome everybody to the Waitai Community Board meeting. My name's Mike Mount, I'm the chairperson, and if you'd like to stand for our karakia. Kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā tara ki tai, e hia ki ana te atukura, e tiro, e huka, e hounga, te e moriora. Now, I have apologies received for absence from Baker. Any other apologies?
I'm happy to move.
Happy to move. Second, by Greg. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Any declarations of interest to make? And no declarations of interest. Move to confirmation of the previous minutes. We have the 8th of July and the 25th of July. Moved by Greg, seconded by Jackie. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. And now we move to public forum. So public forum, our presenters have up to 5 minutes, including questions, to talk to us about whatever it is they would like to talk to us. So our first public forum is Leah McCallum, which is a report back from the Youth Development Fund. Hi, Leah.
Hi. I just wanted to say a huge thank you. But yeah, I want to say thank you because of the funding that you guys helped gave me. I had the privilege of representing New Zealand in the Asia Pacific Championships. This involved training and going. So this is the New Zealand team here. But this included going up north and training beforehand and doing camps where we were able to work with our partners, doing technique and getting ready for the racing. Unfortunately, we were supposed to be in Sydney, but because of toxic levels in the river, we had to move to Canberra. But because of this, we got to stay at the Australian Institute of Sport, which was pretty cool. The competition ran from Thursday to Saturday, and I competed in 3 individual races and 3 team races. Individually, I ended up placing 5th in the 500 metres and 200 metres and 4th in the 1,000 metres. And then as a team, my partner and I placed 3rd in our K2 event, and then we joined forces with Australia and Singapore for a few more races as well. We also got to do a whole bunch of cool events like see the War Memorial in Canberra, as well as a bit of sightseeing and training on the racing track. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for your input into that. I'm very thankful and had a really good time.
Good. Cool. Thank you. All right. Greg and then Kelly.
I think great work, Leah, and also want to acknowledge the work you do outside of canoe racing as well. But you're a real leader and inspiration to CSG, the Christchurch School of Gymnastics. I know my daughter there really looks up to you, and you take your time to give everyone your time. And it really is noted across that. So not within just that sport, but across a lot of things. You are a real leader in the community. So well done. Thank you for that.
Oh, okay.
Leah, that's fantastic that you kayak for K1. They're pretty difficult to keep upright. What are your aspirations for the future?
I would really like to keep progressing and getting faster and stronger. My goal for this season is to make the Junior World Trials again, and then hopefully make it onto the Junior Worlds team, and then obviously as I keep going, progress into the high performance squads. But yeah.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well done.
Right, the next is New Brighton Fireworks. To talk about New Brighton Fireworks is Spokes Canterbury. So we have Stephen Wood here on behalf of Spokes.
Thank you.
Would you like to
in Spokes for a couple of years we've been thinking about trying to do something about making it easier for people to cycle to the fireworks in winter. Never got around to doing it early enough to ask about some sort of.
can you just turn your mic on?
So they can hear you online, Steve.
Better.
That's it. So this year we decided just to do a ride out there and see how it worked and see what we learned. The next one. This is the route we went out on. We started at Latimer Square and just took the straightest route we could out. We're all riding as confident cyclists, able to handle things on the road. There are some pieces that are major cycle route at the start, but then we're onto the general road, uncontrolled crossing over Linwood Avenue, uncontrolled turning into Woodham Road, and then merging onto Pages Road. All went pretty well. There was some fellow on a side road yelling at some sort of encouragement, but I didn't quite hear what he had to say on the way. And when we got to the bridge and roundabout, we just decided to go through the road closed signs and come straight down Seafood Road. No drama. We had a track racer out the front, so it's a lot faster than I usually ride. And no trouble finding cycle parking. Next slide, please. Then when we went home, we all basically made our own decisions about where to go and how to get home. You make different route choices as a cyclist depending on whether it's busy, daylight, windy, all sorts of things. So we're all doing our own thing. A couple went down south, just retracing down Pages Road, no drama, except one of them had 2 punches on the way home. Saw a family group on a cargo bike heading home too. 3 went at the roundabout, snuck onto New Brighton Road, followed New Brighton Road across to Travis Road, Anzac Drive, up the path at the side of there, and then on Travis, QE2, and then to various points. That's got a couple of interesting bits in it, but as confident cyclists, they were fine. I mean, you're doing it's something that cars aren't allowed to do at the roundabout, is to get onto New Brighton Road. And I was planning to go up Marine Parade, but just saw the number of cars coming out of Hawke Street and heading north on Marine Parade. It just didn't look like it was going to be a fun thing. So I went up the pedestrian path up the middle of Graffiti Domain, Shore Avenue and Graffiti Domain. It was amazing the number of people walking on that. So it was slow because of that. Crossing Beaufort Road was clogged up, but I knew back roads up through Sea Eagle Park and up to Beach Road, and then it was just straightforward after that. So we had fun. It worked. So what did we learn? If more people encourage coming to go there by bike, the less congestion. It's one less car. It will be a lot easier to encourage people to bike then when we've got some established cycle routes going to Brighton. I guess the first one that will happen is the River Harwood track. Sometime later we'll get a direct one. The direct one is what we use this time, and we've often wondered about whether you could actually facilitate before you got a permanent cycleway, whether for the event you could actually just put some sort of line of cones down there and call it a pop-up cycle lane, but it's quite a lot of work. One thing that'll be useful is just making sure that people are happy about having cycles going through a zone through their Seaview Road and then more, just to make it clear. If we'd chosen to stick to the roads and one on Hawke Street, that would be pretty frightening and lots of conflict in traffic. If you have a big event and you get lots of cycles going, one of the things that's been tried a lot in Auckland is valet cycle parking. So you have there's a little photo down on the side there. They have temporary cycle stands set up, and you have some people supervising it and say, "We'll look after your bike." And so one of the security things about having your bike locked up, or how secure your bike is while you're at the event, is sorted for you. So that's something that Bike Auckland does at events in Auckland. Yeah, so that's just the learnings that we've got. Again, a reminder that the normal cyclist is the same. The graphic on the left I've shown before, there's all sorts of conflict, and relating that kind of cyclist to the kind of stress you put them on streets. and the kind of facilities you provide for them. We were confident cyclists, we can basically ride where there are no facilities, and we're happy doing that, but for most of the cycling public, they want a bit more support and help.
Nice point. Thank you very much, Stephen. Much appreciated. And now we'll move out from our regional councillors, Greg Burns.
Kia ora. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Te mihi tuatahi ki ngai tuahu riri te mana whenua, tēnā koutou to all of you as well. I'm here in my capacity as a regional councillor for Christchurch Central or Hoku because there are a number of areas that intersect between the responsibilities of the board and also the ward of Central Christchurch. Given the time limitation, I've prepared something that I'll read, and then if there's time, hopefully you'll respond. Firstly, I'd like to talk about the National Steel site at Austin. It is one of a number of areas where there are issues that are concerning both Environment Canterbury and Christchurch City Council, especially the residents as well. Currently, we are processing 5 resource consents for the National Steel site. They have, however, been put on hold because Environment Canterbury has requested further information regarding appropriate trigger levels with the applicant. A copy of the application is available on a website, and I'll leave this with you so that you've got that. As far as compliance of the site goes, because a number of us have been down there along with residents and seen runoff from the site, compliance staff have attended. The last one was on the 25th of July in response to a pollution event that was reported. The risk was substantiated. However, there was no discharge of stormwater on that day. Some of the practices identified were substandard, and National Steel have been required to remedy them immediately. Staff have recommended, made some recommendations to ensure that no runoff escapes from the site by installing additional measures. A request was made for a management plan to be developed to address contaminant runoff risks arising. National Steel apparently are working very positively with Environment Canterbury staff. Representation review, you may be aware that we're currently out with the review in a proposal that we will combine the Ashburton district area with current South Canterbury constituency to form a large mid-South Canterbury constituency, and leaving Selwyn on its own. We're proposing to call these constituencies Selwyn, Waikirikiri, and mid-South Canterbury, Otuti. And the proposal is out for submission. It also includes realigning the Christchurch City constituency boundaries to the current Christchurch City Council wards. So there is some impact in areas around Aranui and Linwood, and also heading out towards the west on the electorate of Christchurch Central. We've currently just restructured our main committees. We now have 3 standing committees, which are strategy, policy, audit, risk and finance, and regional development delivery. Within the regional delivery, we have a chair, a deputy, and 3 core service leads. They are Claire Mackay, who is the environmental regulation and protection, Ian McKenzie for community preparedness and response to hazards, and Joe Davies for public transport. And that's particularly relevant given there are a number of issues down here, and he is, of course, one of the councillors, along with Councillor East here for this side of the city. And in regards to PT, I've had some feedback from our director who is responsible for that. So there might be some interesting things he thought were around the fact that impacting Christchurch and specifically the Waitai Board area. We're currently awaiting the publication of the National Land Transport Programme in September, which will provide greater certainty around funding availability for the next 3 years.
Just 1 minute to go.
Yeah, okay. Very quickly then, the Hornbeak Organics Processing Plant, that is on hold as far as consenting for us. And finally, this is a little bit to do with ECAN, but also myself. I would like the community board to support a change to the Christchurch City Council procurement policy in line with that council ECAN did earlier this year, which was to commit to comply with UN Council Resolution 2334, which is to ensure that the council is not dealing with any companies that is trading or making or supplying from any of the illegal Israeli settlements on Palestinian territory. I'll leave it at that. Thank you. And I'm happy to leave this with you.
All right, I
There
think,
you are.
yeah, if you could give it to our board advisor, that would be great. I've got time for one quick question.
Thanks, Greg. I just want to ask you about National Steel. You mentioned there's runoff and so on. We've also heard that there's noise complaints there, and I don't know if that comes under what you're looking at the moment. But we know that noise control has been called out to that place now a few times, and they have arrived to locked gates, no access, and all that is done is they put a slip in that says, yeah, there was noise, no access. Noise is pollution. It does come under the consenting under ECAN, my understanding. Is that correct?
But actually, City Council is responsible for noise in that area there. Yes.
They have a consent to make noise, but not overnight. From what I can gather, they need to shut down at 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock, but they're making noise into the night.
Without taking up too much time, that might be something that we want to collaboratively look at, because it's not just the National Steel side, as we're all aware, especially when we get into the Bromley commercial subdivision.
So tomorrow, is it no, Thursday at the Port Lancaster Swarson residents, we'll be talking about noise specifically.
Well, if you could give me some detail, I'm happy to come along to that end as well.
Right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Greg, Cindy will be in touch. All right, and now Karen Ryan is here from Waitai Coastal-Burwood-Linwood.
Ngā pāpau te whānau, he uri o kaitahu o ngā puiuki, ko Te Ryan tōkuinga. So I am the kaiwhakahaere of a community group called Kōreroki o Tautahi. We started out at the end of 2021, and basically we started because those of us who were learning Te Reo Māori together didn't have anyone within our whānau or in our own circles that we could practice Te Reo Māori with, and so we had to utilise each other. And so we started to get together in a variety of places, whether it be the library, cafes, restaurants, etc., to practice our Reo Māori. Cut forward to now, and we're nearly at 600 people. So it's grown to something that I didn't expect it to be. And with that has come a lot of changes to how we operate and the different things that we do. So our main goal is to support speakers and learners of Te Reo Māori to use the language in public spaces, but also to create spaces for people to be able to use Te Reo in a safe way. We've recently opened a new space at the CAC with Climate Action Campus. So we opened that a couple of weekends ago, and we have started to give a little because we're completely community run. Sorry, I'm bouncing around here, but we're in the process of applying for charitable trust status. But until that is all sorted, we can't really apply for any meaningful funding. And so we are relying on donations and fundraisers and things like that. So we've got to get a little set up at the moment to help make our whare a bit more homely with things like new carpet, etc. But the reason why I'm here today is because I'm hoping to get some total support from the council for a mural. Now, I know there's already been a lot of money that's been given to the campus for the purpose of murals, but the reason why specifically I would like that support for us is because I'd really like to have a strong identity for the outside of our building. I don't know how many of you have been on the campus, but it's all old classrooms, and they pretty much all look exactly the same unless somebody's done some design on the outside. And so it just means that when people are coming onto the campus, it's not always that easy to find us. So it'd be really great to have the opportunity to get a really strong identity put on the front side of the building. We've already got someone in line that's said that she will do it. And I think that's everything, because I can see there's a couple of questions. But yeah, we've got the give a little, but it would be really great if we could, also get that mural sorted.
Well, we called it, there is a small pot of funding so we will get staff to get in contact with you.
I'm already in touch with Molly and Jason.
Yeah, already. Awesome. Okay. Kelly.
Thank you, that's really interesting. Have you heard of Watch This Space, who are a group that to produce murals around the city, because they recently got $300,000 funding to do that sort of thing, and for the next year, and then $250 a year for the 2 years after that. So I encourage you to reach out to them, because they're always looking for new spaces to do murals on, and they'd probably love to have a space if you've got.
Yeah, sure. I think with the person that we had in mind, she's someone that's not only a part of the Kōrero o Tētahi community, but she's also done murals around other education facilities in Christchurch. And she was also my kapahaka teacher nearly 30 years ago. So for me, she's one of the kind of original people that has always been there on my journey. So I think it would be important for us and our community to specifically have her do the mural.
I'm sure
But
they've got money.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So next we have, we don't have any deputations or any petitions. So we have our wastewater treatment plant briefing. Adam and team, I'd like to join us again. And just a reminder, this is about the running of the plant and not about other matters which we'd very much like to know more about, but unfortunately can't at this stage. Adam, hello again.
So Red's on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, Red is on.
Thank you very much for having me again. What I was going to do with this community update this month is to run through the presentation that was supposed to be given on the 30th of July. So this was the operations aspect of it. I'm again unable to provide any update on the permanent solution. And some of the normal detail that I dived into on the previous month, I've not gone into this. The reason I'm putting this up is I think it just serves as a good reminder. It's now been quite a while since the original incidents, quite a while ago, so I just wanted to bring this as a recap. What I'll run through is what's up on the screen there. So background context to the fire, the cause of the fire, what the impact of the fire was on the operation of the treatment plant, the short-term solutions that we put in, and something that I haven't really picked up on before is the environmental impact on the receiving environment, the odour monitoring and results, and the ongoing challenges. So it was back on the 1st of November in 2021. The photographs on the right show the fire engulfing one of the two trickling filters before the fire spread to the other trickling filter. On the schematic on the left-hand side, you can see the highlighting of the trickling filters. That is the only part of the plant that was damaged by the fire. The cause of the fire was fully investigated by FENS. They did the report, which is shown on the right-hand side, and the relevant paragraph in there is shown in black. The fire cause has been classified as accidental, with the most likely cause being the ignition of maintenance tape, seeker, multi-seal, or roof structure with an open flame heating tool in use at the time. That document is available on Council's website, available on the link. Again, nothing new, that's when that report came out. 1st of November, sorry, I can't read the date on there, sorry. But it's been available for a couple of years now. What was the impact on the treatment plant? The trickling filters provide approximately 70% of the biological treatment capacity. So when you've got sewage, it has a biological component that the trickling filters used to degrade and convert into a safe material. When that caught fire, afterwards the burn trickle and filter media released odours, and also the oxidation ponds became overloaded and emitted odours. So the bottom left photograph shows the two trickling filters. The one on the right shows the damaged media, and the one on the left shows the empty trickling filter after all media had been removed. And as you can see by the size of the excavator, is a significant task to get all that material out. On the right-hand side is a photograph of the oxidation ponds during the time when the odour was being emitted from the ponds. And as you can see, there's about 2 or 3 foot of surface gone of sludge floating around the outside of the ponds, which is what contributes to the odour of those ponds. So that's just a natural process of when ponds are overloaded, the sludge rises to the surface and gets wind blown to the edge of the pond. The short-term solution that we implemented, the trickling filters were part of the process, and so all the pipe work went through it, so we had to bypass pipe work to get past the trickling filters. We installed the temporary activated sludge plant, and we installed all the aerators on Station Pond 1. As per my presentations at the time, this was an unprecedented event with no comparable events globally identified, and it needed a unique but proven approach to remedy as an interim solution. So what we did was install the temporary fibrous solution of the activated sludge plant and the aerators on Pond 1. It is a highly lean system with no redundancy, and it is operating at maximum operational limit. It was based on what we had done swiftly at the time, maximum our treatment ability, utilising existing assets to deliver the best possible chance of success using proven technology. Temporary activated sludge plant. So normally the site has 4 clarifiers. We retrofitted 2 of those with the surface aerators, so that 2 of them. So normally when you got 4 and you go down to 2, means you haven't got as many, and we did it with as many as we could. On the on the oxidation ponds, 11 vertical shaft aerators that on those are the ones that provide all the oxygen required to do the treatment, so to provide the aerobic conditions. And then there's a 5 directional aerators which provides the mixing, moves the water around the ponds and prevents short circuiting. One thing that I haven't sort of brought up on the board, because it hasn't sort of really been an issue, is the environmental impact of the receiving environment. So I would like to reference you first to the graphic in the bottom right-hand corner of the picture. In the top left-hand corner of the graphic is the wastewater treatment plant in that tiny little blue box, and then you've got the oxidation pond beneath it. On the right-hand side of that, you've got the pump station. What that pump station does, it conveys treated effluent once it's been all the way through the treatment plant and through the ponds, all the way through that pipeline, which goes across the estuary, underneath South Shore, and then all the way out 3.5 kilometres out to sea. So whilst the sample results I'm about to talk about are taken from that pump station, they do not enter the environment until they're out into the ocean at the end of the outflow. What I'm going to do is talk through the 5 graphs, 3 on this slide, 2 on the next. The top left one is the BOD. The great big red line through it is our resource consent limit, which you can see is set at 20 for the BOD. The data trend starts on the 1st of January 2019, so a couple of years before the fire. And as you can see, the data results before that is quite low. It spiked in summer 2020 and then dropped down. That black line, the vertical first line, is the date of the fire. And the second line, which is purple, is the date when the temporary solutions are put in. So that's the activated sludge plant and the aerators. So as you can see, for the BOD, after the fire, the BOD levels are a lot lower than the consented limit, and you can see actually less than they were pre-fire. The second graph on the right is the total suspended solids. Again, the red line is on limit. The 2 vertical lines before the fire and after the treatment process has been up in. And as you can see, the receiving environment for the data on the right is lower than the limit, which sometimes is better than it was pre-fire. Bottom left is the ammonia. Ammonia is typically a bit harder to treat. Again, on the left, you can see before the fire it's predominantly under consent, and then on the right it's still under consent. As you can see, it's spiked a little bit recently, but then that's dropped down again. This is exactly the same as before. However, the fecal coliforms are on the top left. So this is Yeah, that's all the grimace on the face. It's basically the bugs that come out from the mammalian gut. And on the right hand side says carcai, which is sort of an indicator species. So again, on the
So when you
left,
say mammalian gut, you're saying that's not just human.
E. coli is found in all mammalian guts. In this case, it's something significantly human.
Only the ones who use our system.
Yeah, well, some very, very well-trained cats, yeah.
So again, exactly the same before. On the left, sorry, so there's two lines on this one. One is a lower limit and one is a high limit. Can't really go into detail on that. I'm not a specialist on it. Might have to bring Ramsey if we need more detail on that. But you can see before fire, predominantly it was under consent, and then between the fire and the temperature solution, and you can see how the E. coli numbers spiked whilst it was up there. And then after it put the treatment process in, you can see it drop down rapidly, and it roughly matches the quality of the effluent that was there before. And the graph on the right, again, for the enterococci, before the fire is obviously a bit lower, and then during the fire in the interim solution is higher than after the temperature solution, and it's dropped back down and get below the consented limit. And those are, we're not predicting any significant variation in any of that data, any of the quality of the effluent going forward either. Odour monitoring results, you would have seen this. You've got the 4 odour monitoring sample sites out there shown on the graphic on the left hand side. All the information is provided and kept up to date on our CCC webpage, and the link is there on the bottom. The odour monitoring results, so the graphs show the result from the 4 community sites for the last week of each of the 4 months. So top left is April, May, June, and July. And as you can see, progressively over the months from April to May to June, July, the odour picked up at those community monitoring sites has got lower and lower. Apologies, I didn't put the August one up, but the August one did have a very minor spike. And that will obviously be provided at next month's meeting. Again, all that information is readily available on the website. As soon as we've got it, we'll update it and put it up there. And again, the odour management action plan, again, it's up there. We provide all the data up there, and then there's a link for it. So we are actively looking at parts of the site where odour's been generated, undertaking the actions and recording them up on the website as well.
Spike about sort of the second to last week of July, I think it was.
Yes, I haven't looked at the data for that one.
Okay.
I'm sure I can bring that to the next community board update.
That's about that. I just wondered what, I think it's just the weather had got unseasonably warm. I think that might have been it.
I'll look into that and bring that to the next meeting.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any other questions? Kelly?
Thanks, Adam. Absolutely fantastic. Amazing the work that you've done. Just in terms of once the insurance issues sorted, how long will the build of the new plant take?
Apologies, I'm unable to. I can only provide an operational update. That'll be a question for.
Well, I just want to say thanks. I mean, it's obviously an incredibly difficult situation for the whole community, but for you guys keeping the plant operating under incredibly trying circumstances. So that's really appreciated.
No, we appreciate that, and I do pass on to the team that we do spend a lot of time and effort trying to make sure we operate the temperature system as well as we can to not have these odours that are generated. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it is much appreciated, and I think it's really good. Just, I mean, for us it's good, but also just so that the members of the public are able to come and see these presentations if they want an update as well, and that's recorded and it's online. Yeah, any other question?
Yeah, thanks. Around the 30th, I started to get additional complaints about the odour being bad. I did put into the office of the chief executive, but I haven't heard anything back. But basically the question was, I've been getting concerns from residents that it's been getting bad the last few days. Are we aware of any issues with the current operation of the plant? And do we have any information as to why it possibly was getting stinky again?
Not that I'm aware of, but like I said, I will look into it and I'll get back to you next month.
Right. And just two other questions from me. One was follow the second part of that question to the office of chief executive, which again I don't think I've had a response, but I think they have responded previously. But the idea of getting real-time information sensors about what's happening with the air quality, that or the H2S, is there a reason why we can't get more live information around what's happening?
That is outside of my area of expertise. Obviously, I get the contract in place to do the odor monitoring. I haven't had that conversation with the contractor.
Okay, thanks. And then the final question from me was just, at the meeting, we were told that there would possibly be some health and welfare support kind of wellbeing information. Is there any update we can get around what's happening in that space, or the information that was going to be presented at the meeting?
Not from me, I can only provide an update on the operational side.
Okay. Are we, as a board, can we get some information about that, or?
Health is, we're supposed to be providing material in hard copy. I don't know if we have received it.
We'll follow up that.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
all right. Any other questions for Adam? Right, well, thank you again, Adam, and yeah, for keeping that plant running.
I'll pass that on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
All right, next we have item number 8, which is proposed road name 1028 Birkdale Drive.
Happy to move.
Happy to see you. You do what you want to.
He does.
On this particular one, I actually, no, I do want to ask a question. I want to know why we can't have a New Zealand name. That's all.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not that we can't. But the developer makes the name suggestions for the road name. And there were no names in that group of suggestions. There was a preferred name and 2 alternatives.
Do we ask them to give us to do option?
Not uniformly, no.
Is that possible?
We could do that, yeah.
Yeah, we could. In this particular instance, given the theme and that all the other streets, and I personally don't understand why, but we have a mover and a seconder, so I suspect that I'm not going to have my weird way here. I think you've addressed my questions. Does anybody else have any questions? Have you moved? Kelly, did you want to speak to that?
No.
Yeah, I just say I would really appreciate it if we can have if the developers can be actively encouraged to give that to option. That'd be really good. So I'll put that now. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against. Abstentions. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So now we have our area report. Chris?
I'm happy to take the reports read and just take any questions for you.
Does anybody have any questions on the area report? Yeah.
Thanks. I'm just wondering if we've got an update on the improving Bromley traffic plan, if we know when we're going out for consultation or getting the draft report.
So that request was received via email, and once a response has been received, I will share it with the whole board. So we're just not aware of it yet.
Okay, I was just mindful that council's reprioritising all of the transport projects, including hopefully the improving Bromley roads by September. So probably the end of September. So I just think the board needs to kind of find out what the process is around that.
So the request has gone into SAM. So once the advice has come back, we can provide it provide it back to the board.
Okay, cool. And can you just talk through the Eastern project, just around the civil defence stuff, which yeah, just kind of trying to understand, I guess, how we're going to be involved at a governance level around what's happening with both the civil fence and the internal ET, and how we get visibility of that or input into that.
Yeah, so I guess the reason for adding those into the report is just to kind of highlight to the board that we're starting the work in those spaces. So around civil defence, building a relationship with we already had a relationship with the civil defence team, but sort of strengthening that relationship. And again, the same with that internal E-team. So that was the very first meeting. The purpose of that was to really highlight what came from the report to council with the capital endowment fund application, and really just outline what we're looking to achieve. And I guess one of the kind of good outcomes from that, was a couple of the heads saying, actually, this is the first time in a long time they've all gotten into a room together and hearing, this messaging, and sort of starting to work across a lot of those issues across units, because the whole point with this relationship project is it's working across council, highlighting what the needs are. So the reason they're in the report is just to update the board that we've started work in that space.
Is it possible to get like some key milestones or some target dates of work being complete or progressing? Like especially on page 46, there's just nothing that gives any certainty of timing and targets of work. And I'm just wondering, I personally think it would probably be helpful to know, what the key steps are and what the target times are, given that we've sort of been, everything has felt like it's been quite slow, and just getting a sense of priority, I think, given real time frames can be quite helpful, so people know that work is actually happening, even if it's work that's not publicly visible.
Yeah, and I guess it was only a few months ago that council made the grant for the fund, and one of the first steps was doing some of the internal recruiting. And so obviously we've got the additional community development advisor resource within our team compared to other board areas. The other part that we're working through, and we're getting close to a point of being able to workshop with the board, is what's highlighted in there around the strategic planning. And it will be from there that you'll start to get more of a picture of what you'll be forming, what the outcomes and the outputs of the project are, and that will give you more of a sense of timelines. But I guess one of the things that I'll say is it's a difficult one to put like fixed milestones to them, because a lot of it is around relationship building. So it's not like a typical project where you're building it. Yeah, exactly. So we're not building a road or a cycleway or something else, but it will give you a sense of what we're looking to achieve and how we'll report.
We actually want to change the way things are done, and change. I'm a big fan of the saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast, and the culture of the way that the council deals with the East needs to change. And we are fortunate to have the support from the CEO and the ability to make some of that change. And there's already been the first meeting, and this is a staff level thing, not a elected member thing, but there's already been a meeting of the E team, and I'm told that it was really positive, and that there is a recognition that there is a need to deal with the East in particular as in a joined up fashion, and with it from taking a different approach. So I'm feeling really positive, but it's not yet at the point where there is a work program. We're very much at the setup phase, and we don't even have the plan to finalise to bring to the board, but it's not that far away. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that's pretty much it. And exactly what Paul said, the plan's not far away from being able to sort of workshop and finalise with the board. We're looking at dates for when we can do that now. And
there will be specific things, because it will be a good plan, there'll be specific things that can come out of that, and you can put timeframes around them. But I don't think it would be arbitrary to put in place a specific timeframe at this point. Like talking about more than simply just having a bunch of boxes to tick, thinking about trying to actually reconfigure the way that that things are done in the east, and it'll be different from the way that's done elsewhere. Doesn't mean that it can't influence elsewhere. But
Thank you. I think just having some indicators would be really useful though, to know how we're measuring progress, and like whether that's timeframes, dates, or other things. Obviously maybe that's what's going to be in the strategic planning stuff, but
yeah,
that's
true.
I just don't see how we at a governance level have input into the first two things that are going on, or where we intersect with them. So maybe that's that part of the strategic planning, but I do think at a governance level, like, we also have a role to play, and it would be good to know what that is at some stage and what the opportunities are.
Yeah, and I guess what's happened, I guess what's happened already around is having those initial meetings. So like the ECMs, the initial meeting that was signed off in that outline plan that went up to council. And the same with this strategic planning. So rather than coming with an absolute blank piece of paper with no framework, we're basically building up a framework so there's something meaningful for the board to workshop and be able to adjust and put those milestones on. So we're looking within the next month or two being able to bring that to the board and then being able to finalise it, and then from there you can kind of move forwards. So that'll be where you have your governance level input. Yeah.
Happy to move.
Yeah, about the area.
Yep, good.
Chris, in regards to the stats and solve breakdown and reports, that breaks down roads and footpaths, I was just wondering, we were also told that we've got a standard time frame for repairing potholes based on NZTA guidelines, and that's 72 hours or potentially even quicker based on how big they are. I was wondering if you knew of the 8% of reports that haven't been completed in the SLA timeframes, if we know if any of them are potholes or not, and if we could potentially, whether or not you'd rather us just send an email off to get that information, or if it could be included in the board report.
So I guess the way that this, I don't think it would be able to be broken down into this reporting because it's really high level. I guess, is it a question that you're asking as a sort of a one-off you're wanting to know, or are you regular? Is it something you're regularly wanting
I'm wanting to, regularly know, because it's something that I've had come up, and not too often, but it is coming up more frequently. So just sort of understanding.
So, sorry to interrupt. So at a previous meeting, the board had requested being able to drill down more into some of those stats. So I'm currently in the process of organising with staff for them to come along to an information session workshop, just to report in a new format. So that would be the first page of the report, but then there's a few extra pages that will have more detail. Once the board have received that workshop information session, then I will then have access to for the one-off, so not something completely new that's just come in, but from that report, the information within that report, I can drill down as to say, okay, so 5 of those complaints came from this particular street in this particular suburb. So
wonderful.
So it's come in, and we'll get better reporting, but I just can't remember off the top of my head which month that's scheduled to happen, but it's definitely coming soon. And then once we've had that briefing, the information in our reports will be a bit fuller.
That's really helpful. So in terms of, I'm just getting that information out, would you rather I send an email offline rather than do a motion request?
If it's something that you need to know now, flick it through in an email. If it can hold up until this information session, then you can ask it there.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have a seconder? Because we move. Kelly's moved. Seconded by Alex. Now be put. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. All right, thank you. And so now that just leaves elected members information exchange. Celeste.
This will come as no surprise, but the good news is that the hearings panel signed off on the HSO report.
Thank goodness.
As you know, and Kelly was a great member of the panel, so it was really helpful. But I also want to say that the community board has been great in terms of providing sort of direction to council in terms of this being a priority. So it's just really good to see that get across the line and see quite a unanimous kind of view that this just needs to be done as soon as possible. So good to see that progress after
And
10 long years.
And I have to say thank you to the hearings panel members for doing such a thorough job and going and doing site visit and addressing concerns, although not necessarily responded to with the as you might have hoped. You did that work and did what a hearings panel should do. So I think that's really good. So I appreciate it. So because now we have unanimous support for Pages Road Bridge. So I don't know what the timeframes are now, but it's one of our big projects. It's our single biggest capital project on our list as a community board. So you guys made that happen. So
I just quickly say that although the timelines aren't necessarily set because we're working on the detailed design or start working on the detailed design, the good news is that actually that work continues regardless of anything else. So there isn't sort of put it to the side. Also, if anyone's wondering what we're doing is the work continues and we can get as soon as possible to the important bit, which is actually building the bridge. So we don't have a specific time frame, but we will get closer to that, having that information sooner.
yeah, tomorrow night we have the Boston Residents, well, I guess you call it kind of Boston South East Residents Association, which is the professional kind of name, but the Port Link meeting. We will be talking, we'll have some people from the noise control. Pardon?
Thursday.
Oh, sorry, Thursday. I'm a day ahead. Yeah, I'm a day ahead. Anyway, so we're having a discussion which with enforcement, which the residents are very keen to have, but I thought some of you might be interested too if you're dealing with some noise issues in your communities, you might be keen to hear about their approach. They're talking about industrial noise specifically. So Thursday at 6 o'clock at Smith Street. Is it Joe?
Yeah, okay. Just a couple of things. The emergency response meetings that we've been having in Street Corners, we had the first one a couple of weeks ago, and there was actually quite a nice little turnout for that. It was nothing big and wonderful. It's just casual, and a lot of people just come and finding out what it's about. So there's another two coming up. One at the corner of Orem and Hood on Monday, the 26th at 3 p.m. and one this Saturday at the corner of Hawke and Shaw Street at 1 p.m. and Hawke and Shaw.
Shaw and Hall.
Same thing. And a couple of us went out to the Spencerville AGM, and it's really good how well they're doing out there. It's a really nice little community. But while we were there, the Sticks Living Laboratory lady mentioned that they've got an AGM coming up on the 14th out at Spencer Park Circular Saving Club at 6:30 if anyone wanted to attend.
Anyone else?
To jump onto that point. Yeah, it was really lovely. And also I just wanted to highlight the rangers as well. Really informative sort of updates for the community. So the CCC rangers, we pass on thanks for that as well.
Yep.
Really much good.
More rangers, the better. Yanni. Oh, sorry. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know I'm going to send an email out about a request for us to look at funding some sealing alongside Waitai Drive, which is at the edge of Burwood Forest. There's a disc golf course there that just gets more and more popular. Council staff have done a great job of extending the car park at Burwood Forest. It's not sealed yet, but the capacity for the place, it needs to be increased. And just over the weekend, when it rained, it was a hell of a mess alongside the road. I'm going to send you a photo of all the cars that parked there anyway. So I just want to raise that as maybe an action point that we could look at, asking staff for some advice on if that might be possibly looked at.
So you're asking the board to, it's not really it's a
No actions arising from this section of the agenda.
So there's no actions. I keep forgetting.
Okay, well, I'll send the email and.
You send the email.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Just to let the board know that the council has now sent out its letters in response to submissions on the long-term plan, so hopefully the board's got the response to the submission. I just wonder if maybe we could circulate.
we'll get it soon, apparently.
Yeah, I've just got a draft of it, so I need to check.
Okay. My understanding is there's nothing specific in those letters, they're just a generic, thank you for making the submission
That's right.
letter, so.
No, they're specific.
Oh, we do have specific. Okay, that's good to know. So I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But obviously just to alert councillors, board members to the fact that this whole transport review is going to happen pretty quick. And there may not be any engagement, or there may be lots of engagement. We simply don't know. So the board, it's probably useful for the board to start thinking about transport projects that it wants to put in at a program level now, and start thinking about what strategy it wants to sort of maximise the influence on council.
Can I just clarify? So this is because we have to wait till September to make decisions. The council has to wait till September to make decisions because of funding, right? And on all transport projects that were in the long-term plan, but they couldn't be agreed to. Can you explain it for us, please?
Yeah, so basically the issue is that council had two things. It had the audit advice that we couldn't make amendments in response to submissions over a certain quantum. So therefore, a number of amendments that wanted to be put around transport projects that the community had requested were not really able to be considered without putting us at risk from audit. And then the second thing was, we don't know what the quantum of funding is that the central government through their national transport policy statement is going to basically put into the different programs. Therefore, there was some uncertainty, and the fact that ahead of the amendment or the final consideration of the amendments, council had already gone back and given a contingency list meant that we couldn't add any more as well. So
when will we know how much money there is and what is being?
Yeah, so I asked for an
drafted
update on the process, but I didn't really get very much information. And again, maybe the board would like to ask what the process will be. My understanding is that there's still some assessment around prioritisation and condition of things like curb and channel. But actually, I think getting an understanding what the process is around the different projects would be quite useful.
I think every board would like to know.
Because I know
what
that
the
there's
process
a council resolution that there's a reconsideration of the transport choices projects that got stopped or paused to an annual plan or an LTP. But in the deliberations for the LTP, only several of them only got raised, not all of them. Like, so Bromley Roads was one that there's a formal council resolution to do the reconsideration and assessment of it, but it wasn't part of the LTP process.
So what is it? Because I want to ask about this. So what is it called?
What is it called?
So if I'm going to ask for the process for boards inputting into that decision in September, what is it? What exactly am I going to be asking to have input into?
Well, basically, it's my understanding, it's the transport projects reconsideration. So, but I don't think it has a specific name. But what I've been told is the response from transport is that staff are developing a program for street renewals based on condition and value for money. These will be discussed with community boards later in the year when this has been prioritised and the funding implications are better understood. I know that it's not date as requested, but I think this is the best they have at the moment.
Where's that information? Yeah.
This was from the office of the chief executive.
Oh, in an email.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you send that through to me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
Alex.
Oh,
I just had one other thing.
I want to ask you a question about this. Sorry, Ian, if that's right. So is it from your understanding, thanks for letting us know, we've had a few different things that the board have been really concerned about being left out of decision making, like long-term plans, and it's been quite a rush process, so it's been handy to give us a heads up. Is this more street renewals, like can we as a board, do you know if we can, like, we put a bid for it? Is it, if it's already on the renewal list, is that going to get put out, or do you know anything about that? No. Okay, thanks. Can we sort of ask, like in the process, what's included? is it the scope,
What's included in,
in the scope of the plan, or whatever it is they're looking at? Like, can it be new streets, is it only existing streets? Or new ones?
well, I guess, yeah,
We'll ask, yeah, thank you.
Can I just comment on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So I think from what I can pick up on, there's two bits. Through the long-term plan, there was the stuff that got the bigger projects, particularly, that got kind of put on pause, I guess, and we can get the chance to just vote on them as part of the long-term plan, because we're waiting on information about the subsidy that comes from Waitai, which happens in September. But also there was feedback from a number of elected members, and I'm sure people here will agree that we don't have the community board much oversight of the program level stuff. So that's the street by street budgets, because then what happens at council is we end up putting up amendments for individual streets rather than looking across the whole program and prioritising things. So we'd like to get information about the program level budgets, as well as what the plan is for the transport program, which is the part of that which got put on hold as part of the long-term plan. Does that make sense? So one's a bit more specific in terms of renewal program for streets and roads, and that second bit would be things like the NCR and, you know, the Burwood, Mighty Hard section, things like that, which will have visibility over some of the bigger projects. And then we can give feedback in terms of where we think if we don't get a subsidy for some projects, whether we still want council to progress them, basically.
okay, there's a heap of a lot in there, and I imagine you as councillors get that on before we do. But you know, the board, we have quite clear priorities in our plan, and councillors hopefully have got easy access to that. All right.
I think the trick will be that if we only meet monthly and we get that information in September at council, when does the board get to feed into the process?
The thing is I want to know what the trade-offs are. Like, I know what our current priorities are and the things that are important to us as a collective, but if we're going to have to trade off, like, you know, I don't know, renewals for some other project, which, you know, for new projects, I guess, that kind of thing. Like, I mean, everything is always a trade-off, but how much we need to know how much funding we have before we can really. All right. Well, do we have anything else anybody would like to add for members' info? Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just thought it was really good to have the elected councillor come and talk to us. I just felt that as a board, I don't know if we have the opportunity to get information in terms of what's happening with the National Steel site, but, you know, council does have some jurisdiction over consenting of it. I mean, we've heard about noise, but there's also things like stormwater discharge. Council does have some role. So
it's been like, as you have pointed out before, it's really unclear exactly what that is, because we get told that it's ECAN.
Yeah.
But I guess if they discharge into our stormwater system, then it's discharged from that stormwater system into the river that is ECAN, right?
Yeah, so I just wondered if, like, maybe for the meeting on Thursday night, if we can just get some advice. I presume that ECAN staff will be talking to council staff over the consents. Certainly there's been cases in the past where council and ECAN have fought each other in court over these sorts of stormwater consenting, but actually we're supposed to have a joint relationship now where we do work through. And I just wondered whether we were able to, we'd already had a chance to, you know, respond to the deputation, but I just wonder if we can have an action to seek some advice for the meeting on Thursday night.
So again, I think, so again, the purpose of your information exchange is for you to exchange what's going on in the community. So if you've got sort of points that you want to raise or actions and things, you've got a process that you need to follow. So if you, again, don't wait for these meetings as well, do them before, because obviously your meeting's on Thursday. So if you want this information, the sooner you can get it, the more chance we've got to do something with it.
Yeah, well, I thought this was one of the actions from the last response meeting as well, but that's okay. I'll go through the other process. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? No. Well, in that case,
Kia tau, te rangi Māori e, o te rangi e tu iho nei, o
papatuanuku I takapuna nei, o te tai au e awhi nei, ki runga I a tātou, tihei, mō ora. Thanks, everybody.